How do you get your kids to be comfortable with sharing and expressing hard emotions when you were never given the space? No one held the space for you as a child, especially your parents, to do so. It's a very delicate thing to talk about. It's a very fine line to walk, but a very important one. And this is essential for all genders of kids. But if you have sons, I feel like this is extremely important as a father. And so if you have daughters, it's like I said, equally, important. But I just want you to pay like a little bit extra attention to this if you're raising men, unfortunately, because society oftentimes makes men feel, and little boys growing up into adult boys feel like expressing emotions is not cool, right? It's not manly. It's not something you should do as a man. And so it's important to teach our children, teach our sons, listen, it's okay to express your emotions. When I was growing up, I had a very hard time telling my parents, especially my dad, how I truly felt, right? The more and more I think about it, any level of emotional security or expression that I was looking for from my parents, I never got. It was a little easier for me to go and talk to my mom about certain things, or a girlfriend, or oh, my friend hurt my feelings, or I'm disappointed about something. If I'm being honest with you, this is maybe just a culture thing because my parents are Jamaican. Even my mom, it was tough for me to open up to her about that stuff. But if I had to choose one parent to do so, it was with her. And I didn't want my kids, my daughter or my son, to feel that way about me, right? I don't want them to be going through something and think, oh, can't tell him about it. I remember when a few years ago, I was going through a really personal, really rough situation. And I was getting advice from all my friends, even my mom, and everybody made me feel just worse about the situation. They were trying to make me feel better, like they really were, but it just wasn't working. They were like pitying me and feeling so sorry for me, and maybe they thought they were being empathetic, but they weren't. I didn't receive it as that. I received it as them being like, yeah, this sucks for you, and I don't know what to tell you, but this sucks for you. And it wasn't helping me. And I remember I took forever to call my dad and tell him about what was happening with me, because in my mind, I just didn't give him the credit. I was like, he's not going to be able to help me. He's not going to be able to hear me talk about this emotional thing I'm going through and give me any good advice, because growing up, that's not just something he did. And the funny part about this is, the more, even me talking about it right now, I'm realizing that maybe it's not something he did because I didn't afford him the opportunity to do so. It's kind of crazy to think about. 1 second. I just want to make sure. Yep. Okay. I might tell the editors to keep that in there. I just wanted to make sure we were actually recording, because I recorded videos before, like full videos, and the mic wasn't on. But anywho, maybe I didn't give him the opportunity to show that he could do this. And so I called him very last of the food chain, bottom of the food chain. And the only reason I called him was because this thing I was going through, like, he would have played an important part at some point of this, of this thing. He would have had to know about this. And so I called him. I said, hey, Dad. And he's like, what's up? And I'll never forget, I was driving and I called him and I said, hey, listen, this is what's happening. I promise you, this man said every single thing that I wanted to hear. Like, he made me feel so much better, so much more secure, so much more encouraged, so much more hopeful about what I was going through than all my friends, my mom, like my dad. And I didn't even think that was even possible. I remember I was in the middle of getting my MBA while this was happening, and he was like, don't let this stop you, right? And he was like, and this was only a few years ago. I'm a non-traditional student. I got my MBA in 2022 and I'm 39 right now. So he was like, don't let this stop you. Keep doing what you're doing. Like, don't let this stop you from pursuing your education. Like, everything is going to be all right. We're here for you. And he just kept telling me everything is going to be okay and just keep doing what you're doing. And I was like, yo, This is exactly what I needed to hear. Who would have thought that my dad would be the one I would be getting this from? And I hung up the phone with him, and I started bawling. I started crying because I'm like, man, like my father, like, I had never, it's like the little kid in me was crying because I had always wanted that from my dad, and I never got that from him, right? It's like, wow, like he's really seeing me on this emotional level, and something we have never experienced before ever growing up. And so I cried thinking about the fact that I felt bad that I didn't even give him that opportunity. And so we don't want our kids to do us like that, right? We don't want our kids to say, man, I'm going through this thing, but I don't want to talk to dad about it. He's not going to be able to help me. He doesn't do these type of things, and society loves to put us in a box, right? Like, dads don't do this. They just do this, right? And I'm like, no. Like, talk to me about the hard feelings, but it's important the most important part about this is you yourself have to be okay with talking about hard emotions, right? Outside of parenting, you have to be okay with talking to your friend about having that hard conversation, talking to your spouse, having that hard conversation, talking to your colleagues, talking to your work, like your clients. You have to be okay with having hard conversations, and you have to be okay with expressing yourself emotionally, telling people how you feel. Like, man, that really didn't make me feel good. Wow, that bruised my ego a bit. Sit with that. Really sit with that. And if you're not able to do that just in your own life as an individual outside of a father, you're not going to be able to properly do it for your children, right? It's just like, if you're not loving yourself, if you don't feel confident about who you are, how can you expect, if you're searching for a partner, how can you expect someone to do that? Your electromagnetic field is just oozing with treat me like crap because I don't feel that I'm worthy. So that's what people are going to do. Facts. And so related to parenting, right? How can you teach your child how to be okay with expressing tough emotions if you can't even do it yourself, right? And so I spend a lot of, and I'm not perfect, I always tell you this, I'm walking with you. I'm not talking to you from the top of the mountain, I'm walking with you. But I spend a lot of time sitting with my feelings, and sometimes I try to run away from them. But majority of the times I sit with them on this very cushion I'm sitting on right now. And I sit with them and I'm like, man, I need to feel this, right? The other day I was talking to somebody and I was telling them like, yo, this is how I feel about certain areas of my life right now. And I go, I'm trying to do a better job of accepting the things that I feel shouldn't be happening in my life. And I said, when I pray, after I meditate, I always ask for the ability to accept things for how they are, accept things for what they are. And they were like, yo, it's great that you do that, but just do it. You have the ability. Stop wishing. Stop asking for the ability. You have the ability to do that. Just sit with the emotions. And you have to do the same thing for yourself, right? If you're listening to this, sit with what you're feeling, sit with the hard emotions, and then be okay with expressing them first out loud, maybe on your journal, and then to a real human. That's how you're going to be better emotionally. That's how you're going to master your own emotions. Then you'll be much better equipped to help your kid with expressing hard emotions, especially the ones that you weren't allowed to, or you felt that you weren't allowed to express when you were a kid. Recall my son a few weeks ago telling me a story, and he said, man, like I felt broken. I really felt broken. And the more and more I think back about that story, I'm like, imagine me at 14 telling my dad, looking him in the face and saying, yo, dad, let me tell you this about this story that happened, and let me tell you how this makes me feel, and man, I feel broken. Come on, man. Like, think about that, especially if you're a millennial dad, you're in your 30s like me, early 40s. Think about, did you ever feel like you can look at your father and say, dad, I feel broken? Comment in the comments about that. And if you were able to do that, that's amazing. Like, I really am happy that you got that experience. But I feel like most men don't have that experience, and it's not a father's fault, right? It's just how it's the cycle. I keep talking about breaking generational cycles. It's a cycle. And so the fact that my son was able to look at me in my face, this wasn't even on a phone call, this wasn't a text message. The fact that he can look me in my eyes and say, Dad, this is what took place and I feel broken. That's a win in itself. Forget about how do we fix him feeling broken. How do we let him know that it's okay to feel this way, and how do we navigate it? We'll get there. But let's just start with the fact that this man, he's 14, but whatever, this boy, whatever, this man child, since he's officially taller than me now, this man child just looked me in my face and told me that. That's a win. That's a win for everybody. And so the fact that I want to say is, if you weren't allowed to, express your feelings to your father, you have to kind of do the work to ensure that your children are able to express their feelings to you, right? Because I told you that story earlier. I told my dad what happened, and he was the only person that made me feel better. And I would have never thought that would ever happen. I didn't give him that opportunity growing up, right? And so that's what I want to leave off here with on this talk, is just, how are we making sure that our kids are able to express themselves emotionally, the tough emotions, despite the fact that we weren't able to do so? And remember, the most important part is you have to do that yourself, right? As an adult, be okay with expressing hard emotions. Then you'll be able to easily, pass that down to your children. So I'll see y'all next week. As always, check out my 365 Dad journal. The link is in the description. Share this video with a fellow dad who you feel it can benefit from this, and I'll see y'all next week.